Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Sorry nobody's there actually in real life yet, but I know you'll be there in a minute. Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to see you. It has been days and days since I've seen you, like literally 3 days. I saw you on Friday. Does that make it 4 days? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 4 days since I've seen you. I have had 3 days off. Hey, Thalia, how are you? Good to see you, everybody. I do have to put my glasses on because I can't read. Everything's just a blur without my glasses. There you go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the waves. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are managing in this bloody lockdown. That's all I can say about it. We've all got to just hang in there and get through it. And hopefully it will be behind us soon, maybe in a couple of months or so. But in the meantime, I have something so delicious to share with you today. I really do. This is a recipe from my heart and soul for so many reasons, and I'm going to tell you why. Today we are doing carrot tzimmes, and it is a very special dish to me. Good morning, Jennifer. Good to see you. And yeah, she says good morning, everyone. So good morning to all of you. Hey, everyone. Good morning. We're just going to do a few hellos before we get into the recipe because that's what we're here for, right? I said to someone yesterday, it's like 50 minutes hello and 10 minutes recipe. That's pretty much what our hour is. Hello, Carm. How you doing? How's Canada going? Nice and warm, I bet. It's a lovely, lovely day today. Very much a spring day. Today, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, you may not know, but tomorrow is the first day of spring in Australia. We do our seasons on the 1st of the month, unlike you, which makes it really easy to remember. You know, we know that it's the 1st of September, it's spring. 1st of December, summer. 1st of March, autumn. 1st of June, winter. Now we're going into spring tomorrow. Good to hear. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Aura and Dorothy and Ingrid. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hey, from Perth. Dorothy's in Perth. That's a long way away, isn't it? Oh, it's such a pleasure, Lisa. I'm glad I could help you even the tiniest bit. I'm so happy you're free and out of bloody quarantine. It's such a nightmare for people who work for airline crew, I should say, because they have to quarantine so often. Anyway, hopefully that's going to change soon. Don't know how. I think that we're hoping that there's going to be a rule for vaccinated people, aside from flight attendants for the moment, that vaccinated people can travel and come back to Australia without having to quarantine in a hotel. That would be really good if you could quarantine at home. Fingers crossed for that one. So how's everyone traveling today? What's the vibe out there? Are you all right? Are you all feeling blah? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling ready to cook with me? Good morning, Maureen. Good to see you. Hope everyone is well and happy anyway who's here. I think we'll start. And I'm going to tell you about Rosh Hashanah, or Jewish New Year. Good morning, Melanie, one of my favorites. Melanie's the mum of my very, very good friend. And so nice to have you here, Melanie. Really nice. Very happy to have you. All right, let's talk about Jewish New Year. So it's coming up next week. Jewish New Year is celebrated in Australia on 2 days, which is next Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's just, the calendar's a different calendar to the Roman calendar. So it's just literally like the 1st of January, but for the people, for the Jewish people. And what we do is, like every festival from my perspective, it's always about the food, always. It's about it's about the things we cook and the things we make to reflect the important parts of this, whatever festival it is. This one is about sweet New Year, because all we want is a healthy and sweet and prosperous New Year. So there are many dishes that reflect those outcomes. And what we do is we eat so much honey at this time of the year, it's not even funny. Everything has honey in it, whether it's honey biscuits, honey cakes, carrots with honey, brisket with honey. We eat lots of apples, because apples are a symbolic fruit, as being something that was written about, I think, in the Bible back in the day. And so we eat apples with honey, and we eat baked apples, and we eat apple cakes. And then we eat dried fruit, and everything's sweet, okay? So it's a very sweet food time of year. So if you don't love sweet food, you're probably not going to love the food of Jewish New Year. But if you love honey, then you are going to be super, super happy with all the dishes. So today I'm making a dish called carrot tzimmes, which is, sorry, I've just got 3 stages of the dish to show you, so we're not here for 2.5 hours. You'll be happy. Some of you will be happy to know that we will get it done reasonably quickly and it won't take 2.5 hours. Carrot tzimmes is a dish that takes me back to, makes me think of the old world that may have been. It's a recipe that came from my grandmother from Poland, passed down to my auntie Myrna, who was the best cook in my family. She passed away, I think, about, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more ago. And she was my beautiful auntie, and she had, I'm going to tell you about her while we're bringing this to Bob. I'll tell you about Auntie Myrna, but this is her recipe. But I've tweaked it a little bit, not because I didn't think her recipe was bloody good, because it really is just the plain carrot tzimmes, which is from The Feast Goes On, our second book, on page 267. Just follow that recipe. It's outstanding. I do have 20 carrots in that recipe, which is a huge amount. 1 carrot per person is what you need. So there's nothing wrong with her recipe, but I wanted to have something more substantial in it. I wanted prunes. I think because Danny's mother used to make a tzimmes with prunes, so he put the idea in my head that we needed prunes. And I wanted like a dumpling or something, and I've been scouring all the books that I could find on the internet, and everybody who makes tzimmes with dumplings uses matzo balls. I don't want matzo balls in my tzimmes for this festival. I'm going to save that for Passover. So I wanted to make a noodle that went in there and made it substantial, a dumpling, like a carb, and the carrot and the prunes and the honey and the sugar all together to make it a really beautiful all-in-one side dish for Jewish New Year. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So remember, if you don't like my ideas, you don't like this pimped up version, I'm not offended. Go back to the book. It's also on our website, Auntie Myrna's Carrot Tzimmes. It's just outstanding. And it's got 3 stages, okay? Now, stage number 1, she cuts the carrot into coins. And I just urge you not to cut them too thinly, because if you cut them too thinly, you're going to have, they're just going to get very floppy, and they actually look like little flowers. But you want them to be not too thick, but I'm going to say 1/2 centimetre, okay? Sort of 1/2 centimetre I find are hard. If I put these together, is that 1 centimetre? Yeah, so 1/2 centimetre slices, okay? Maybe even just slightly over, okay? So don't worry but make them all the same if you can. So I'm going to slice my carrots. I'm using 4 carrots now, and I'm going to slice them into maybe 3/4 centimetre. How about that? Let's go a bit thicker. So what Auntie Myrna used to do was she used to cut her carrots. She did this over 3 days. On day 1, she would slice her carrots and put them in a bowl and cover it with water and let them sit overnight. Now, I have researched and I have tried it both ways, and to be honest, I cannot think of a reason why she does that, and I can't ask her because she's not here anymore. And Auntie Myrna, why? I don't know why she did it. So sometimes if I've got time, I do it. I guess what it does do, which is probably not her reason, is that it spreads the work over 3 days. So slice your carrots, and if you do want to do it ahead, like if you want to do it for Monday and you don't want to do it at the last minute, I suggest you soak your carrots on Friday, and then on Saturday do step 2, and then soak your carrots on Saturday. Step 2 Sunday, step 3 Monday. Or you can do it all in one day, which is what we're going to do. All right, so let's slice our carrots up. 3/4 centimetre. I have changed and reviewed my 1/2 centimetre. And these, of course, have been peeled. I don't like peel in cooked carrots. It just doesn't look as nice. And we want this dish to look absolutely gorgeous. They're like jewels, these carrots, when they're cooked. They are glazed and glossy and gorgeous with butter or margarine if you prefer, lemon, honey, sugar. Okay, so I'm just on my 4th carrot. And I'm not going to soak them in water because I don't have time. So just to recap that, Auntie Myrna did it in 3 stages. The first one was slicing the carrot into these coins, as she called them, and then soaking them just in lots of water overnight, okay? That's it. So the carrots are done, and now I'm going to put them into just a saucepan, medium saucepan. Not too small a saucepan because I don't want it too deep of carrots, okay? I want it about, You'll see, I'll show you mine when I've put it in. Because this is the important part of the cooking. We're going to put all these lovely things on the carrots, and then we're going to boil them down till they are completely glazed and all the liquid has been absorbed by the carrots, okay? So that's about, you can see, it's about a third to a half full, okay? I'm going to cover that with water, just room temperature water from the tap. I'm just going to cover it, okay? This is the important thing. I might even take a bit out. So that was about 2 cups of water. You don't need to measure it, but I want to show you. The important part here is that I've just covered it with water. It's not copious amounts of water, because then it's going to take 2 hours to get to where you want. It'll still get there. It'll just take ages, okay? So less is better. You can always add more. And I'm going to turn it on to boil. And it's going to take about 5 minutes to come to the boil. Room temperature water. Put that away. And you'll be pleased to know I've done the next step and the next step. So we're not going to be here for hours and hours, as much as I'd quite like to. Hello to all the people that have just come on. I see my mum, Paula, in Melbourne. Hey, mum, good to see you. My mum is in Melbourne. I'm in Sydney, so I haven't seen mum since, I don't know, when did I see you, mum? It might have been April, I think. It's been a long time. I know people have not seen their family for even longer than that. But April, what are we in? May, June, July, August, September. No, August. So coming up to 4 months. It's okay. We're all right. Mum sees me every day now on Instagram, so that's quite nice. Okay, so I've put my carrots in, and now I'm going to tell you about Auntie Myrna. So Auntie Myrna she was fantastic. She really was. She had white blonde hair, always in in like a beehive sort of a do. And she always had a cigarette in her hand or in her mouth. And she'd go into her house, into her flat, I should say, and she had the radio on. She had like one of those old wirelesses. Well, I'm talking 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And she always had the races on. She had the form guide from the newspaper on the table. She had her ashtray. Uncle Sol was always sitting at the table. And then she had her little kitchen, which produced the most amazing food. She had jars of biscuits. She always had a cake that had been baked. Something was always being mixed or cooked. She was a nurturer through food. She fed her family. You could not go into a house and get away with not eating anything. It just wasn't a possibility. So I think of my Auntie Myrna a lot, and she was around when I started writing the cookbooks, but she wasn't around when I really wanted to know her recipes. Like, I got quite a few of them written down, but I didn't get enough. I needed to spend days and days with her, and I urge all of you that have got someone special in your family or friends who is a great cook and you want to get their recipes, just get them. Just video, record, write down, take your time. Make them, go back to the person. Like, it's so important. I would give anything to go back to Auntie Myrna's kitchen and spend 2 days filming her do things. I've got a recipe for her butter chiffon cake with no method, and I've tried 15,000 ways and I just can't get it 100% right. It's really interesting. Thalia, no, I don't cover the pot. I actually don't cover when I boil. I guess I want the water to come to the boil in its time. I don't want to rush it. I'm not in a hurry, so I don't cover it. There's no need to cover it for me. And it will come to the boil soon. It's actually hot already, and we'll just wait. So that's my Auntie Myrna, and I do miss her dearly. And it's a lesson for all of us to write down and take note and do all of that when you can. We think, oh, I'll remember, or yes, she's written it down. It's just not enough. It really, really isn't enough. So I think of her all the time when I make this, and particularly her cabbage rolls, which are also in the same book. Her cabbage rolls are amazing. And I think of her and I feel like she's standing next to me in the kitchen, although she can't answer my questions, which is a bit of an issue, right? I wish she could. Anyway, I don't know why I'm looking up like she's hanging around up there watching. Maybe she is. All right, let's talk about what's going to go in here. So as soon as this comes to the boil, we're going to boil it for 5 minutes. I'm going to actually put the timer on, even though the timer is on for something else, but that's okay. When it comes to the boil, I'm going to boil it for 5 minutes to get it going, and then I'm going to add the following ingredients. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, and you can use white sugar, you can use brown sugar, you can use coconut sugar. I'm using coconut sugar this time. So any of those sugars, whichever one of those appeals to you, you can use raw sugar, just sugar, about 2 tablespoons. We need 1/4 cup of honey, and I just use plain supermarket Australian honey. I don't like, so you know, I talk to you a lot about how I love plain food, simple food. I don't want lavender honey or whatever fancy honeys for this. I just want plain honey. So we need honey. We need a little bit of butter, 1 tablespoon of butter. You can use margarine if you want to make this dish parve. I'm going to just put this on. What I've got in the oven is the finished dish, and I'm just going to go take the foil off, which is the next step. Hold on a sec. I might as well show you because you're going to see it anyway. So this has been in for half an hour. This is the end, so I'm going forward to the end. And I'm just going to put it back in the oven without the foil. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Hold on a sec. Concentrate. I'm just going to give it a little toss around because all the butter and the lemon and the honey is at the bottom, and I just want it to glaze now in the oven. Okay, I'll show you. I know you can't see it. That's just what it looks like. Okay, that's going into the oven now for the next 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 minutes now. My carrots are boiling. See, boiling carrots, just covered with water. I've probably got a little bit too much water in there actually. I don't want any water on top of them. I want them to be just covered, because you can always add more, okay? I know I keep saying that, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so my carrots are just covered with water. I've set it for 5 minutes, and let's go back to what I was saying. So, okay, we have 1/4 cup of honey, tablespoon of butter or margarine if you prefer it parve, and 1.5 tablespoons, 30 mils of fresh lemon juice. Okay, I don't know about you, but we go through so many lemons here, it's not even funny. And every morning, you know, some of you know I juice Danny's grapefruit with my amazing juicer. I juice 4 or 5 lemons first, keep them in a jug on the bench and use them throughout the day, and then I do the grapefruit afterwards. Yes, that dish is a mud dish actually. Okay, so this is boiling nicely. We're also going to put some prunes in, and I've only got 5 because I've made this dish many times this week. B, I can't help nibbling on the prunes, so there was probably, you know, 9 in here this morning, and I may have had a nibble. Who loves prunes? I just think they are so yummy. So prunes, and I'm going to just tear those in half when I put them in, just to spread them out a bit because I've only got 5, okay? And we're going to have a little pinch of cinnamon. You could put in a cinnamon stick if you like. And yeah, so I'm just laughing because Khan said the water is laughing. Okay, so we've had this discussion over the weeks about how water can be smiling when it's simmering or laughing when it's boiling. This water is in hysterics, okay? That's the level I want to boil. I'm really boiling the carrots, okay, just for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put a pinch of cinnamon. Yum. Okay, so that's all the ingredients that are going in. And as soon as the timer goes off, I'm going to put them in. Can you use dates instead of prunes? What do you think? Dates and carrots? Why not? I mean, I can't think of a reason why not. Prunes are yum though. Or you can just leave them out. The original dish didn't have them in, so you can leave them out. I just worry that dates, when you cook them for a long time, just sort of dissolve and go to mush. That's exactly right. So that's my problem with dates. And if you are going to use dates, you'd probably want to put them in just now at the last stage of cooking. And that might be the way to do it, because they'll just turn into, even worse than melting, they'll just turn into mush. All right. So this is boiling nicely. Take a little spoon, give it a mix. Not that there's anything there. I'm also going to put a pinch of salt in there, which I haven't yet, and which actually is not in the recipe, but I'm just going to put a pinch of salt because there's no salt anywhere in anything here. And I'm using unsalted butter, so I'm going to put a good pinch of salt in, okay? Probably a quarter of a teaspoon for 4 carrots. All right, so I'm just going to put this in the, I actually don't need to, I was going to put it in the microwave, but I'm going to actually use the boiling water to get the honey out of the glass in a minute. All right, so just bear with me. Once we put the other ingredients in and I show you, then we're going to fast forward 45 minutes and I'll show you the next stage, which is right there, which I'm trying to hold at a certain point, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. All right, so other dishes that we're going to eat next week for Rosh Hashanah. I mean, many people make brisket, and many people make like a slow cooked lamb, like the Roman lamb from It's Always About the Food is a beautiful Rosh Hashanah dish because it's just a do ahead. It feeds a crowd, not that we're feeding crowds, but you know what I mean. And it's sweet and it's a perfect dish for this time of year. I am going to make brisket. Now I've been talking to Field to Fork, my local butcher, who Paula Horwitz owns. She's one of my co-authors. She owns this butcher, and I was speaking to her husband Gary yesterday about briskets, because what I find is that whenever anyone cooks brisket, myself included, you know, a brisket comes in a big piece, and part of it is succulent and juicy and has that marbled fat, and part of it is the other part, the flat part, which has no fat. It's very lean, and you cook the piece together in the oven, right? And they cook for the same amount of time, and the fat bit needs longer and the lean bit needs less. And I find that it's really hard not to have that lean bit a bit dry. And I'm trying to find a cut of meat that solves the problem. So he's onto it, and he's supplying me today with a piece of brisket without the lean bit, okay? He's going to tell me what he's going to call it, and they're going to sell it this week at Field to Fork, and I'll let you know on social media. That might be the answer. And I'm going to cook it today. I'm going to do a recipe called Jewish Chinese brisket. It's a recipe on our website. It's really good. It's got Chinese flavors. I'll tell you about that in one sec, because that's going. It's boiling. Let's add the ingredients. We are going to add in the sugar. I'm using coconut sugar, the butter, and the lemon juice, and the honey. And annoyingly, my honey's, just stuck. So I'm just going to use a bit of boiling water and just do it like this and get the honey in, get the honey to melt with the water. See? Just like that. Okay? Perfect. So we've got carrots, water, sugar, butter, lemon, honey. Oh, and a bit of salt. All right. Still not coming out. Hold on a sec. Okay, honey is now in. Okay, everyone with me. I've got everything in the pot now, okay? And it was 1 tablespoon of butter. So I'll go through it again. 4 carrots, about 1 carrot per person is what you'll need. That's quite generous. 2 tablespoons of sugar, any sugar you like. 1/4 cup of honey, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 1 tablespoon of butter, and a pinch of ground cinnamon, or you could use a little bit of a cinnamon stick, okay? Just a pinch. That's it. And I can put the prunes in now, or you can put them in later. I'm going to just tear these in half because I want to look like I've got more prunes in here than I actually do, because we know what happened to the rest of the prunes. Yes, thank you, Mim. The cinnamon has gone in. I don't know what I'd do without you for all the things I forget to put in. I sometimes forget things when I'm cooking without you as well. And I'll make a cake and I'll put it in the oven, and then I'll turn around and I'll see the oil sitting on the bench, or 1 egg sitting on the bench, and I'll have realised I've forgotten it. Yeah, we all do that. All right, so let's give that a stir. Now, I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to come back. I need to get my chucks, I'm afraid. Hold on. Yeah, I did give in, and I did open the purple packet of chucks. I did, and they're not so bad actually. It's actually not such a bad colour. I might change my mind about it. Okay, so Ah, yes, spray the glass with the spray before you measure the honey. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about putting the fatty meat on top of a lean, but I still find that lean piece is not what I want my brisket to be. And I'm on the hunt for one piece that just, I don't have to think about anything. It just goes in with the sauce and I get a succulent, juicy brisket, full stop. So that's what I'm looking for. All right, let's fast forward. This is going to boil around 45 minutes. You need to keep an eye on it. I'm going to turn it down a tiny bit. So it's sort of in between. No, it's still laughing. It's just not laughing hysterically, that water. I want to boil it so that there's no liquid left. Maybe a couple tablespoons, maybe a quarter of a cup, which is nothing, at the bottom of the saucepan is what I want at the end. I want you to taste the carrots and see they need to be soft. There has to be no crunch in them whatsoever. 45 minutes to an hour is about what you need, just like this, okay? You can see the level it's cooking. I'll show you close up. Just like that, just covered with water. It's got all the other ingredients in there as well. And it's gonna boil, boil, boil. Put your timer on. I didn't put my timer on for the, okay? Just gonna move that over because you don't need to see that. And here's one I made earlier, okay? Magic. So, this is what I want it to look like. What do I do with my spoon? Put my spoon all the way over there. So, I cooked this last night and I just let it sit out and then started again this morning. So, this is exactly what I want. Do you see that? I'm trying to show you, it's very hard. There's such a small amount of liquid in the bottom that I can't show you. But the carrots are fully shiny and listen to the crunch. There's no crunch. They're fully soft. Oh, they're sweet. They've got a bit of lemon. The honey, they're just so yummy. Remind me of the olden days. So that's what I want, okay? We're going to boil those till they're that point. Now, what my Auntie Myrna used to do was at that point, she would then put them from here into her baking dish. Can you see the drips of butter, lemon juice that comes out? That's as much liquid as we need in there. Oops. She used to put that, let it cool, put it in the fridge overnight, and then the next day, cook it for an hour before serving. So she did it over 3 days. Day 1 was slicing the carrots and covering with water. Day 2 was cooking them in the saucepan. And day 3 was putting it in the baking dish and cooking it to serve, okay? So I want to show you what I've done here, because this is how she would do it. And I have dropped a carrot down there, but oh well, okay? That's it. You could just do it like that, put it in the oven for half an hour, from the pot into the oven without a cover. It glazes beautifully, and serve it like that, okay? Easy. If you want to do it a day ahead, put it in the fridge if you must. You don't really need to. Remember, you'll need to cook it for longer because it's coming from cold, okay? So it's just the same thing. It's just doing it the next day. But you can see how beautiful. I could eat that now. I will eat that now. It's just yum. But let's make it a bit more interesting. All right. So, I'm just putting a board down because this is hot. Let's talk noodles. I am currently obsessed with nokedli, which are noodles that you make with this little device here. And I'd like to do a session on this, but not enough of you have one of these. So I might give you a couple of weeks notice. Maybe everyone who wants one might go online and buy one, and I'll do a session in a couple of weeks. It's called a Spätzle maker, S-P-A-E-T-Z-L-E, okay? If you look up Spätzle maker, they're on Amazon, they're everywhere. And what it is, it's like a box grater thing. It's not really, it's like a piece of metal with holes in it, and this cup on the top. And you make the dough or the batter, and you put it in, and you just do that over the saucepan, and the noodles fall into the water and cook. And it is just fun and beautiful and so delicious. I sometimes roast chicken. When the chicken comes out of the oven, I take the chicken out, I put the cooked nokedli in the pan and stir it around over the heat and serve those with the chicken. It's just yum. And I think this is a perfect combo with carrot tzimmes, okay? So this is the nokedli thing, and this is what the nokedli look like when they're cooked. Okay, I made these last night, and I rinsed them and drained them and just put them in the fridge, okay? And they're like little, well, they're noodles, but they're, what I love about them is they've got substance and they chew. You know what I mean? They're not like something that just dissolves in your mouth. And when they cook, they just get sweet, and little bits of them might be a bit chewy around the edges where they've cooked with the caramel. It's actually amazing. Calm, there is a recipe. That is a recipe that comes, it's from our very first book, from Elizabeth Barney, and it's towards the end of the book. And she serves it with her chicken paprikash. Okay, so it's there on page 252. It is a wheat flour noodle. It's made with flour. All it has is flour, eggs, salt and water and nothing else. So I'm going to do one. I think I'll do one in a couple of weeks. I might put a thing on social media where you can buy it. I know they're not expensive, and it's really worth having one because they're absolutely brilliant. Just back to my carrots for a sec. I'm just going to give it a stir. They're boiling away nicely with all the ingredients in them, and just give it a stir from time to time in case something's sticking on the bottom, okay? I just want to tell you about the carrots. If they boil down and the liquid's gone and they're still crunchy, all you need to do is just add some more water and continue to boil. It shouldn't take more than an hour, okay? Maybe an hour and a quarter, maybe 45 minutes, all right? Okay, so I want to pretty much combine these two and then cook them in the oven together. So what I'm going to do, I know I'm using a million bowls, but you'll understand. Of course I can mix it all in there, but like making a salad, it's much easier if you do everything in a big bowl. So I'm going to do about a cup of noodles, sorry, 2 cups of noodles for the, for 4 carrots, okay? And we'll talk about what sort of noodles you can use. I'm actually not going to use 2 cups because I need this for dinner for my family, so I'm not going to put that in the tzimmes, okay? But I've worked out that about 2 cups of noodles is perfect for this amount of carrots. So you put your noodles in a bowl, and then you cover it with, you can see all the butter, honey, lemon sauce is coming out of there, and I want that to go onto the noodles, okay? And I'm just going to give it a toss, and you can do it either, with just like that, and if you've got a big bowl, it's easy to do, right? You don't need to squish your carrots with a fork or anything like that. Jennifer, I buy my metal bowls at like Chef's Warehouse or one of those kitchenware stores, the big ones, and I've got them in every size. I must have about 30, and I use them every single day. You know, you can chuck them around the kitchen, they never break. They're really good. All right, so that's it. That's my dish. Yum. The noodles are really well coated in that buttery, lemony mixture that's come off the carrots, okay? So that now goes into your baking dish. And you can also, if you have an oven-proof pan that you'd like to put on the table, you could actually do the whole thing in that and bring it to the table in the pan, you know. But I've gone to a baking dish for the moment. And you can see there's a sparsity of prunes in here, and I'm thinking that someone's pinched the prunes out of this one as well. Might have been me. Okay, that's it. Now, if you're inclined, as I am, to just keep adding, I am going to put a tiny bit more lemon juice on top, just like a teaspoon on top of here. And of course, I'm going to add just a little tiny bit more butter, just because I want to. And of course you could use margarine, as I said, if you don't want to have dairy in this one. I'm just going to cut a few little slivers of butter. Can't hurt, right? And I'm just going to put them on top, just like that. Now, as I've said, this can go now, cover it with plastic, whatever, put it in the fridge, bring it out 2 days, that'll be fine. But if you want to cook it now, cover it with foil. So it needs to be covered for the first 2/3 of the cooking. So I'm going to cover it nicely with foil. I want them to heat through the steam, so I want it to be covered quite tightly if you can. So if you cover things loosely in the oven, all the steam will escape and you'll end up with very dry whatever it is. Okay, so I'm snugly covering that. And that's going to go in a 200 oven for about half an hour, and then I'm going to take it off for 15 minutes, the foil, to just glaze the last bit of the cookie. So you can see there are a few steps in this, but if you're Auntie Myrna, you can do it over 3 days, and if you're Lisa, you can do it all in one go. So that's going in the oven. I'm not going to do it now because I'm going to cook it later for dinner, so I'm going to pop that aside till later. And guess what? It's ready to come out of the oven. Is it ready? Oh, looks so good. I could talk for a minute longer while it's there. Okay, so yes, good question, Thalia. What noodles do you use? Okay, I tried it with Israeli couscous, which is the pearl couscous, and it was pretty good. The only thing is some of the Israeli couscous bits went really hard because they sort of dried out. They were sort of on the edge and whatever. So I think you've got to cook your Israeli couscous really well. I perhaps cooked it too al dente. I just boiled it in lots of water, drained them, and then mixed them through the same way. What I think would be the best, and I haven't tried it, is orecchiette, little ears pasta. I think that would be absolutely perfect in that. If you had some little gnocchi that you had, that would also work. Cook them first and then put them in there to sort of roast, I was going to say, with the carrots at the last minute. So really any favourite pasta would work really nicely. Just make sure you don't cook it too al dente because there's no liquid in there that it's going to keep cooking in that way. The Israeli couscous I thought was good. I just undercooked it. So in the oven, about 45 minutes, half an hour with foil on and 15 minutes without foil. All right. I'm going to take it out of the oven. And it's just delicious. It's sizzling. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? I don't know if you can because the carrots are very noisy over there. Okay, so this is a side dish. Now, I'll tell you what else I did the other day. And sorry, I want to just show you. These carrots are glossy and gorgeous and soft and hot, but they start to really caramelize at the edges and it's almost chewy. It's actually extraordinary what happens to these carrots. So good. And the noodles, which are also very hot, unsurprisingly, are also toasty on the top layer, soft and fluffy inside, absolutely beautiful. So what I did the other night, which I think is a really nice idea for Jewish New Year or any time actually, is while I was making the carrot dish, I got some chicken thigh fillets with the skin on, and I cooked them skin side down in a pan, seasoned them with salt and pepper, skin side down, fried them till they were really, really, really golden. And then I hadn't put this in the oven yet. This was ready like that. And then I turned them over and I sat them on top with the skin up, and I cooked it for 45 minutes in the oven, just out like that. And it was really good. You've got to work out your chicken timing though, because I think I did it with, they were on the bone and they took a bit long. I would rather do it with just with fillets, with or without the skin. So sear them in a pan until they're seared, put them on top of the chicken and then bake it. And there's a one pot dish. I mean, of course, there's 18,000 steps before then, but at the end, it's a one pot dish with your chicken and your veggies, your carrots and your noodles underneath. So that's really, really good. I think what it needs is a season, and that gives me an opportunity to talk to you again about salt, because I know that a lot of you have been taking up the amazing offer, but for those who don't know, we're doing a collab for a while now. It's been a few weeks and we're doing it for a little bit longer with Olsen's Salt. That's OLSSON apostrophe S, Olsen's. I know it's back to front. A beautiful Australian company that have been making salt products for decades and decades. And they have salt ponds in Queensland and in South Australia. And the salt is, and this is the most important thing, really yum. It's really nice salt to use and to eat. And you can buy this thing called the Monday Morning Cooking Club pack. It's $20. If you put in the code MMCC10 at the checkout, you get 10% off, okay? This jar's not part of the package, but this is a great thing to buy. It also makes a beautiful gift. I love it. And it comes with sea salt flakes, and once they're used, I just refill it. I want to tell you about the 3 products and when I use them. So number 1, we'll start with the one I call the cheapest, the one you can use most generously, is the cooking salt. And it is just salt, nothing else in it. And it's quite a coarse grain, like almost like coarser than sugar. And I use that for pasta water, boiling vegetables, putting in soups, putting in things where there's lots of liquid and it's going to get dissolved really easily, so the big crystals have a chance to get dissolved. Okay, so that's the cooking salt. Item 2 is this. It's iodized table salt. And it does have an anti-caking agent in it, and it does have iodine in it. I think the iodine's important. I'm not a doctor, of course, so seek medical advice. But I know in Australia we have we are lacking iodine in our diet, okay? And so they put it in salt. It's in most breads you buy have salt with iodine in it, and that's where you get your iodine. So I like to have a bit of that at home. So I use this table salt or pouring salt for baking, when you've got to measure a teaspoon, because I've got one open. It comes out and it's small grains, and they're perfect for baking cakes and stuff because they dissolve quickly, and that's the salt I use for most cooking, right? What I have to do over my left shoulder. Okay, so that's that. And then the third salt, which is actually my favorite and the one I could just use all day, every day, is this, which is called Blossoms. And you know, we all use Maldon, and I'm a huge fan of Maldon, and I love Maldon, but sometimes it's very sharp, right? You know, and they don't quite crush as much as you want. What I love about these Blossoms is that they're soft, and it's still the flaky sea salt, but it's just a little bit softer, and the flavor of it is just fantastic. And I think this is what I'm heading to, needs to be finished off, and that's what I like these for as well, with a little, more than a pinch, probably a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I love to see these flakes because they're lovely. And I also have this on my table in little bowls. This is a great salt. So they're the 3 things at Olsen, called the Monday Morning Cooking Club pack, $20. This is a separate thing. They've got so many other products. Don't even start looking because you'll go nuts like I did. I love their salt, and I'm really, really happy to support them. Okay, that's the Olsen spiel. Now, yes, so the carrots are starting to caramelize. Well, they shouldn't yet if you've got water. They should be. There's still lots of water there. Probably not caramelizing yet. And if they're caramelizing, perhaps you need to add a little bit more water, because before they caramelize, you need to cook them through, okay? They need to be completely cooked through, okay? So add a little bit more water. Okay, this is the point. Remember I showed you the carrots in the saucepan? There was no liquid yet, and the carrots were fully soft. You're going to have to judge that for yourself. If they're not soft and there's no liquid, you've gone too high, too fast, perhaps not enough water. Okay, the code for Olsen's is MMCC10, as in 10%, because you get 10% discount. So it's MMCC10 is the code, and please use it. It's a really great collaboration, and I'm really proud and happy to be part of it because it's such a good product, and it's Australian. Yay, you know, I really like it. Okay, so this is ready to eat, and I can eat it now. It's just so yum. It's just so yum. And I've really been eating it all week, and I'm still eating it. It's just a delicious dish. Okay, so that's my carrot Tzimmes. I hope that everything is clear. Any Tzimmes questions before I go? Just want to make sure you all follow all that. It was all a bit, you know, having 2 steps ahead. I hope it wasn't confusing. Normally I do everything live, but seriously, otherwise we'd be here till probably 2 o'clock. And I think we've all got things to do and people to see, and actually people not to see, and no places to go. So if you don't know what we're doing, we could just stay here for another couple hours, I guess. I want to also tell you about Sunday. I have got a few spots left. I'm doing a Russian layered honey cake class. It's a Zoom thing. It costs $45. You can sign up via our website, which is mondaymorningcookingclub.com.au. It's 11 a.m. till about 12:31-ish, depending on how long. And we're going to do it literally step by step. Everybody together, we are going to make this amazing, amazing cake. You make these big honey biscuits, they're sort of a biscuit, and then we make them, we let them cool, and we layer it with a beautiful cream cheese and cream filling and cover the whole thing, and then it goes in the fridge for 2 days. So good, 1.5 days. Okay, let's talk about noodles for 1 minute, because I am sorry I have not been clear with the noodles. Okay, so I am using nokedli, which is Nokedly, which is a Hungarian noodle. It's just a flour noodle, like a little gnocchi that's got no shape particularly. Okay, so that's what it is. It's a wheat noodle, exactly as someone said, exactly like a gnocchi, but it's so easy to make. It's got no eggs in it though. It has got flour. Sorry, it's got no eggs. It's got no potato in it. It's got flour, eggs, water, and salt. Okay, the recipe's in our first book. If you don't have those, you can use pearl couscous. Cook it well before you put it in. You can use orecchiette, little ears, little pasta, would be beautiful. You could use orzo or risoni, something like that. It would be really nice with any of your favorite pastas that you think would work well with a sweet honey carrot dish. Okay, you've got to think about what would work well. This sort of thing works particularly well. The gadget is called a, what should I do with it? Did you see where I put it? There it is. It's called a spätzle maker, because this is also called spätzle, these noodles. Oh, that's a funny one. It's called a spätzle maker, Spaetzle. Look it up and you'll see on Google there's lots of things at Amazon, and they shouldn't be more than $20, I don't think. And it's just a device that moves it across. You can also use a colander two things. You can use a big slotted spoon with holes in it and do it that way. You can use a colander with big holes and do it that way, because you get like a batter and you pour the batter in. It's like a really thick, sticky batter. But this is so easy. And last night I made a batch literally in 5 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to make the mixture and 3 minutes to cook it. It's really great. I suggest you buy one if you're interested. It's really fun and I love doing it. And my family loves eating them. They go with so many dishes. Tonight we're going to serve it with our Jewish Chinese brisket that we're making. I was going to finish telling you about that. So on our website there's a recipe called Jewish Chinese brisket, and I wrote this post years ago when I was part of some group of bloggers about how we as a Jewish family in Melbourne used to go to Chinese every Sunday night. It was like a thing. And apparently it's a thing across the world of Jewish people eating Chinese food on Christmas Day in America and lots of other times. It's part of growing up, and it's a really lovely connection. And so I thought I would create this recipe called Jewish Chinese brisket, which brings the brisket from the Jewish part of me and the Chinese food that I love so much together. And so I have created this recipe, which I'm going to test again today, find out the new cut of brisket that we want to use and share it with all of you if it's a success. And if it's not a success, you won't see it anywhere, okay? Yes, I think farfel will work really well in this. I haven't really cooked with farfel, but I know what they're supposed to be like, and that might be, I think this might be a type of farfel, what I've made here as well. You could call it that. So yeah, try farfel. It's a soft noodle that's going to soak up that sauce really nicely. Okay, I hope that's clear. Any more questions? Does that make sense? Thalia, are you happy with that? Okay. Any other questions before I head off? Tomorrow we are doing, tomorrow we're making a delicious sweet treat for any time, but also for Jewish New Year. It's not a traditional dish, it's a Turkish sesame sweet. You know the little sesame things you buy in cellophane? That's what we're making. It's really yum. And then on Thursday, I'm doing my favorite side dish of all time, particularly for this time of year, is Israeli rice pilaf, which is steamed rice with golden fried onions and little currants and toasted pine nuts. It's just yum, really delicious. And then Friday, the day of all days, we're going to make the best honey cake in the world. I'm still going to say that it is the best honey cake, but we're doing it a half size in a loaf tin. It's a really good cake, and if you make it Friday, it would be perfect on Monday. Okay, it needs to sit wrapped up. Something happens to honey cake when it's wrapped up. It just gets moist and the oils sort of soak into the cake. It is just at its peak on Monday. So thank you everyone. Flavia, if you've got any questions, you're welcome to email me through Instagram. You'll find my email, or DM me on Instagram. Always happy to chat. How long do carrots do their thing for in the saucepan? About 45 minutes, okay, depending on how high. So when there is no liquid left, you take it off, okay? There might just be a little bit of a shiny liquid at the bottom, a tablespoon. That's when you stop. If they're cooking too fast, add more water, okay, and turn it down a bit. So I hope that's all right. The recipe is in the book. It's also on the website for the original Auntie Myrna Tzimmes. This is my variation, and I hope you like it. I know I do. We've eaten it 18,000 times in the last 2 weeks. Yum, delicious. That's it from me. Till tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody. Hope you're all vaccinated. I think everyone's pretty much getting vaccinated. If you haven't done that yet, please do make an appointment. We've all got to do our bit, and just, if you're in lockdown, hang in there. We're all in this together. Stay safe. Stay home. You know where to find me if you need me. I'm always on Instagram. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.